Hello and welcome to this 8-part series of Talos enablement presentations. These 8 presentations are going to give you enough information about the Tech Data Talos tool to understand its purpose, components and feature set, and start your journey to complete middleware control. So what I'd like to do is start off with just an introduction to DevOps, just to talk about why we might start a DevOps strategy, what the benefits are to the organization, what available tooling there is to support a DevOps strategy, and where Talos fits within the tooling ecosystem. So if you've worked in IT for any number of years, you may well have seen any number of these quotes. So for example, the code worked fine in development, it must be a config issue. Something that typically someone in development might say when they submit some code and it goes, gets deployed to a test environment and then fails for some reason. There's some piece of missing configuration somewhere, or so they think. Um, so if any of these quotes look familiar, it's probably because there's there's been a historic separation between development teams and operations teams. So development roles typically, their job is to create functionality. They want to make code faster, they want to make the UI more responsive or create new UI elements. Effectively, they want to change the product and make it better. Um, the operations role typically is around maintaining uptime, having a stable environment, and enhancing the service to the user, not necessarily giving them new features, but just making sure that the features they have are there for longer. Which essentially boils down to the developers, thinking change is good and ops thinking change is bad. And this obviously isn't the right way to do things. It creates animosity between teams. So the idea of DevOps is to bring these two roles together and have development working a bit more like ops, having some kind of responsibility and some to care about the uptime and the stability of the environment, um, and having the operations team working a bit more like dev, having everything automated, having the ability to rapidly apply new changes and roll back if necessary, um, and have these teams working together rather than separately. So essentially, this is a people and process problem. Yes, the two teams need to work separately, need to work together rather than separately. However, there are technology solutions that can be used to aid that process. So this is an example of some of these tools that are available in this diagram. They range from orchestration engines for managing your sort of sequences of steps that need to be executed, uh, continuous integration, configuration management products, deployment automation products, um, and all of these tools work together in order to give you that benefit of automation and um, automated testing, automated deployment, automated integration. So where does Talos fit in all of this? Well, Talos is a configuration management tool. So what it's concerned with is the middleware configuration management, um, and making sure that that is consistent between different environments. So where you deploy a new version of an application to development, along with some configuration changes that go along with that, you can take those configuration changes and the deployment artifacts, and you can make sure they get applied in exactly the same way to each environment. It allows configuration of middleware to be preserved as a master. So you have a golden master that's stored within Talos, and that's your configuration. If anything deviates from that, then you know that it's wrong. It allows you to create templates so that you can rapidly create or promote to new environments. You can deploy applications. It integrates with orchestration engines to allow all of the steps that need to happen for configuration or build out scenarios to be automated. Um, and you can instantiate cloud instances. So we work with Azure, AWS, SoftLayer to use those infrastructure as a service services, so we can call into existence new instances of infrastructure to build on, even if it's out in the cloud. So what Talos is not is an infrastructure provisioning tool. We can do it to a certain extent in the cloud, but it's all it's really doing is calling into existence an instance of something that has already been provisioned. So, for example, an AWS AMI, but that provisioning still needs to happen within the cloud. It's not an orchestration engine, but it does use orchestration engines. It's not a monitoring tool, so it won't monitor anything for you. It doesn't test anything, so you still need to use those other tools in the ecosystem to perform those jobs, and it definitely won't make the coffee. So where Talos fits with other DevOps tooling is very much in this continuous delivery space. So your environment deployment, how uh, your middleware binaries get onto the machine and how the software gets installed, your configuration management, so how is that middleware configured, and your application deployment, getting the deployment artifacts from the dev team and installing them. Now, obviously, this doesn't happen in a silo. Like I said, you use this alongside other tools. So we use Jenkins, we use Ansible, we connect to Docker. Um, so we integrate with all these other tools in order to create this solution. And every one of these products on this slide is exactly the same. There is no one tool that does everything. You're always going to need a combination of tools to achieve what you need to achieve.